cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed, and welcome to another race meeting in the British Boring Car Championship. We're here at a very overcast Oulton Park for rounds 7 and 8 of the season. Not even at the halfway point yet. We've got an 18 race championship this time round, as opposed to the 16 races that we had last season. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm very much looking forward to this one at my local circuit. I only live around 9 miles from Oulton Park, and I absolutely adore the place. to the left of the shot right there, actually, is the commentary box at Oulton. And it's a very wonderful place. However, the camera is actually placed on top of the hospitality building, which blocks the view to turn 1. Wonderful little bit of insider info for you. Speaking of insider information as well, we need to take a look at the championship, because for those of you that have not seen the current standings, there they are. For the 3rd week running, I believe. No, sorry, the 2nd week running, Calvin Dent ties with somebody for the top spot in the championship. Him and Matt Draycott there, 67 points apiece. Matt winning both races at Brands Hatch last week. And an amazing feat, to be fair. He's won the last 3 races. He's won half of the races this season. So he is ahead of Calvin just on wins. Jake Robertson is 3rd with 58 points. And then there's quite a gap back to Maciej Sakovic. Steve Burke there in 5th with Tom Jacobs 6th. Josh Rayfield 7th with Michael Blake jumping up 7 places last time round. Andy Fox and Michael Elliott round out the top 10. I must say as well, Carl Jacquelet, although... No, Carl, for some reason, in that list only has 10 points. Carl's on 18 points. He got 10 points at Brands, so maybe that was just me being a bit of an idiot and typing the wrong number in. I apologise, Carl, because it's 18, so it should look like that. There you go. Carl Jacquelet is 9th. Andy Fox is 10th. Michael Elliott is 11th. But still, it's very close indeed. And when you look at the Mediocre Cup for Independents, well, that championship has changed slightly now, because Paul Smith has left the championship. And taking his place was going to be Tony Pearman, but Tony unfortunately not able to join in this evening. Calvin Dent, though, leading that one, and that also looks like it's not been updated as well. So brilliant stuff. Love it. Anyway, the drivers are out at the moment in free practice. And Andy Fox is the highest placed man on circuit at the moment. You can see these cars just look matte with the lack of lighting here at the very overcast Oulton Park. We'll take a quick look at some of our new drivers for this round, shall we? Brian Crowles joins in. I commentated on Brian in a lot of different things, actually. He races for Track Velocity Racing in the Virtual Bell Car E-Series on Sim Racers World TV. And I've also commentated on him in the Vertex Stock Car Cup as well. Brian, very talented in that regard. He's having a bit more of a difficult time with that at the moment. As mentioned, Tony Pearman was going to be one of the other newcomers for tonight. One of them is a returnee from Season 1, Jack Werrell, in the number 65 car, this time racing for Dodgy MOT. In Season 1, he raced alongside Tom Jacobs for Nodaphone for the first half of the championship, before having to back out due to commentary commitments. But that commentary gig, the season that he covers, actually finished last week, so he's now got time to jump in. And the final of the newcomers is actually 4th in the standings at the moment. Good friend of mine, Dan McCauley, racing for Team Jane Fonda, teaming up with Derek Robb after Ben Williams' departure from the championship. So Dan has been actually really looking forward to getting into this. He refuses to show me any sort of encouragement for this, but I know that he does enjoy it really, so he's going to see how he can get on. And he's doing alright at the minute, up in 4th. But Jake Robertson, 3rd in the championship, said he might have not been here tonight because he's been very ill, but he's up there, and he's currently the fastest driver in the field. Josh Rayfield, speaking of fields, is 3rd at the moment for Team Red Ring. Josh has had a bit of an inconsistent run recently. He had a rough ride at Brands, but he has been quick, and he took a race win here last season. He won the feature race, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do this time round. Steve Burke is 6th at the moment, just coming across the line. He's been pushing the limits as Steve. He's got the most incident points in the session. Brian Crowles is currently rounding out your top 10 as well. Michael Jones in the Paula Cook liveried car, giving it a touch of grass and a bit of Oppie lock. Bit of Oppo. Love it. Niall Crowther, he's back tonight. He wasn't there at Brands Hatch last week, but good to have Niall here with his new teammate, Jack Werrell, joining him. And just taking to the track, again, is championship leader Matt Draycott in the not quite Audi. Well, thank you everybody who has joined in so far and jumped in to say hello. Great to see you all. Do hope that you all enjoy the stream. And don't forget, do subscribe if you can to Chaz Draycott Media. Give it a like, give it a follow, whatever else you need to do. And I will continue to try and bring the best broadcasts that I can. Now, Carl Jackalette and Michael Ellett are a team that I want to talk about because in the team's championship last season, Josh Rayfield scored a considerable amount of points more than his teammate Carl Jackalette. But at the moment, Team Netcode have actually got 31 points in the championship. And they've done a really good job between the two of them. Michael Ellett new to this car as well, the South African driver. And how many crashes at the bottom of Cascades, says Ian Fox. That's a very good question, mate. You'd have to be a very good betting man. Tanguy van der Veeg, why did iRacing ever release this car? Well, it was actually a very popular SCCA series. The Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup. There's not a lot of footage on them online, but there's some really good racing. There's especially some great footage of them at Lime Rock Park. And yes, we may play on the fact it is a boring car, hence the name. But it really is, honestly, a lot of fun to drive. You can just chuck it around so hard. And just wait for the bounce. The racing is phenomenal that you get from it as well. You get more time to react to everything. So we've got 17 cars tonight. Infinity Dave in the chat, good to see you, mate. 17 cars in the race, like I say, which is bigger than the biggest of grids that we had last season. That's always nice. It's always nice to get the numbers. Louis Hanker still with his injured leg. I really do hope he's all right. Sending our best wishes to Louis and hope he has a speedy recovery and can join us on the grid very soon. Hoping that this championship can provide a platform for him to at least get back into sim racing in something that's a bit fun once he recovers from his injury. Brian Crowles then, he's only 7/10 off the top spot at the moment. We've got a second, less than a second, covering the top 13. There you go, top 14 now, thanks to Derek Robb's new lap time. Tom Jacobs way down there in 13th. He's not having a great time of it at the moment. Michael Blake is up in 7th. In the Might Just Fit machine, number 5. Signifying that Michael finished 5th last season. He had a good run towards the end of the championship as well. Took a race win at Snetterton in the feature race under lights. It's good to see Michael getting some pace back. Him and his teammate Andy Fox have had a real tough run this season. They were very confident that they were going to be retaining that team's title. But so far, they're very far from it. The top 3 teams, actually, well, I remember, the top 2 are separated by 19 points. Team Red Ring are top of that one. Bordeaux are second. Nodaphone are third. The Team Red Ring are 19 points clear at the top of the team's championship. So they certainly making their mark at the moment. Josh Rayfield and Matt Draycott on their 3rd and 5th as well in practice at the moment. So even more of a confidence boost for them. Just love this circuit though. Really do love it. We'll go on board with Josh Rayfield. Just see if he goes onto another lap. This is around Lodge Corner then. Down Deer Leap. Onto the throttle. Up the hill. Over to the left hand side. Hugs the left. Is that going to be an improvement from him? No. Into turn 1 then. Old Hull Corner. Chuck it in. Wait for the rear end to stop bouncing around. Use a little bit of runoff on the left hand side. It's a very late apex through turn 1. Down the avenue. Slightly clip the right hand side. Slow it down into Cascades, or don't slow it down to Cascades. It's flat out through there onto the brakes into Foster's. Sometimes you can hook the wheels just inside that curb on the right and the curb passes under the car, and it's a really nice way of doing it. You've got to turn in so early for Knickerbrook, a lot earlier than you think. It's a bit of a blind apex because it's over a slight crest. Still flat out up the hill, up Clay Hill. Down towards Druids. Very, very scary. Double apex right-hander. Changes down, chucks it in. You don't want to hit that curb too hard because the car bounces so much. Listen to how often they're on the throttle around here. It's great. This is our first of 2 visits to Oulton Park this season. As we go back into Lodge, you can see the rear end just trying to get away on the brakes. It's not too bad, but you just want to keep it as stable as possible. Back on the throttle. That looks like a nice tidy lap from Josh Rayfield. See whether that's an improvement. But yeah, like I say, we're doing 2 visits this season to Oulton Park as Josh chucks it at the scenery. And Jake Robertson ends free practice as the fastest. The second visit we're doing is going to be on the island circuit that the BTCC uses to this day. You can hear the birds in the background. That's lovely, isn't it? Right then, the drivers all pile out of the pit lane to begin qualifying. We have a 15-minute qualifying session now with a limit of 15 laps. It's just over a minute per lap in these cars around here. Matt Draycott goes to the head of the field. Dan McCauley just behind him. Sorry, behind Jake, I should say. They're cracking on with it. Championship leader then pushing hard. Dan McCauley, it's going to be interesting to see how Dan gets on here for Team Jane Fonda. In the number 41 machine. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Jason. Always loved Oulton on the old Tocker games. It was brilliant, especially the Foster's layout. It's so much fun. The island layout gave us some great racing last season as well. Oh, as Draycott's pushed it a bit too hard, so has Burke. Blake's in there as well. Now, these guys need to be careful because they don't want to be stuck right behind each other going on to hot laps. Although I suppose the pace is so close between all these drivers that they could probably get a bit of slipstream. Not too much. And get away with it. So they go on to their hot laps for the very first time. I'll show you everybody's car number of where they are on track at the moment. You can see there's a bit of a train at the front, led by Draycott. Werrell going a bit slowly, the 65 at the bottom of the screen. Look at them all through cascades into Foster's. Just got to master the weight transfer of the car through there. Look at that, 2 wheels from Steve Burke and from Michael Blake. Steve looked like he was getting out of the way for a second there, but he continues on his way. Robertson has caught up with Draycott further up the order as well. This is not good for Jake. The two of them want to do the fastest lap they can. Jake's forcing the issue. He knows he's quicker. Oh, looked like a bit of netcode there. Bit of contact. Draycott's going to be getting out of the way. Dan McCauley right behind. I think Dan's one to watch here. Jake will probably have got an incident point for that, which will invalidate his lap time. So keep an eye on Dan. See what he can do in his very first qualifying lap in the British Boring Car Championship. Yeah, it looks like a bit of damage on the front right of Draycott's car. And their times do count. And look at that, 7 thousandths of a second quicker. Dan McCauley goes top. Then it's Robertson, Blake, Jacqueline, Draycott obviously 2 seconds off after backing out. But now he's going to be on it, and now he's going to be pushing. Onto the brakes into Foster's. We're going to see some drivers, I think Draycott will get a slowdown penalty for that. You are going to see some drivers just clip the grass on the way into there. Steve Burke's had a bit of a nightmare. Got Niall Crowther just in the background there with Derek Robb behind him. These two finished 10th and 9th respectively last season. Basically any car that has number 10 or lower on their car is where they finished last season in the championship. It's mandatory that they wear that number the following season. As Derek Robb chucks it around Druids. Niall was just getting out of it there. And now Derek gets out of it. They've got Tom Jacobs just behind. And Calvin Dent. We haven't looked at Calvin yet. The current championship leader, or tied leader, with Draycott, who goes up to 3rd. Not even a 10th of a second off the top spot. Calvin Dent goes 5th. With his personal best time in the number 28 car. How's Brian Crowell's getting on? Brian's just going up Clay Hill. In the Ericsson Hitters car, he's teamed up with Liam Silkstone, who's currently out there on track but not put a lap in yet. Michael Jones having a real moment through Druids. Looks like Brian's caught up a little bit there. Onto the brakes then, into Lodge. It's a tricky circuit to make your debut on, this one. It's very bouncy. A lot of oscillation. Purple sector 3 from Draycott on that previous lap, by the way. There goes Crowells. What time does he do? He goes 9th. Only 3/4 of a second off the top spot. There's Michael Elliott and Derek Robb. Jack Werrell goes 5th. Faster than Calvin Dent. Jack was quick last season. He took a race win in round 2 as Jake Robertson goes fastest, and then Draycott goes even faster. The two of them trading lap times. Matt showing that he is here to stay with this championship fight. Even with a bit of... Whoa, Jake! Jake flings the car around. Gets it stopped at the side of the road. Steve Burke is doing the same. Gets it stopped and gets out of the way. That's Calvin Dent just going through. Dan is now third. Ahead of Michael Blake in fourth. Foxy's down to 10th. Michael Elliott goes 11th. Silkstone 2 seconds off at the moment. Down in 15th place. For Ericsson Hitters. His teammate is 12th. Only Derek Robb and Tom Jacobs haven't put times in yet. I think Tom's just going to get that time in now. As just behind him, Jack Werrell heads to the pit lane. Where does Tom go? No time on the board. I think that might have been an outlap, so he's back on it now. Seems his... Oh. I was just about to say, it seems like his internet's finally stabilised a bit, but no. Andy Fox is off big time in the middle of Druids. What has happened to Foxy? Oh, he just gets out of the way of the Ericsson Hitters car there. Is he just going to clip the grass on the way in? Yep. So easy to do. We've all done that. And then you can see the fronts just dig in. Who was it in the Ericsson Hitters car? I think it was Silkstone. It was. Just missing him there. Foxy then. Back in the pits. Back out. Draycott, Robertson and Macaulay all in the pits. The three of them. The top three. Although Dan Macaulay's coming back out. Is he? No? Is he? No. Draycott's gone back in. Rayfield's coming out as well now. Maybe giving each other a little bit of slipstream. Derek Robb's put his time in and gone 12th fastest so far. We're only a third of the way through the session at the moment. Paul Jacquelet got his first podium in the British Boring Car Championship last time out at Brands Hatch, which we were all very pleased for. And Carl actually got more points at Brands Hatch alone than he did all season last season. So we were very, very happy for Carl. And Michael Jones as well. Michael got his first point in the British Boring Car Championship with a 10th place finish in the sprint race. As he tries to get to grips with the lack of grip on the way into Foster's. It's very cold out there though. Chuck you the weather on the right hand side of the screen. Nope. Never mind, apologies, I've clearly not set that up right. It's 18 degrees, put it that way. 18 degrees air temperature. 18 degrees track temperature, so it's a very cold circuit as Steve Burt goes 4th fastest ahead of Michael Blake. For Nodaphone as, Michael Elliott's had an issue. Josh Rayfield comes back on. Oh, cars all over the shop. Draycott has a moment, slows down Rayfield and slows down Rob. What happened there? How come it didn't just clip the grass on the exit? Down Cascades, gets a bit of a wobble on there. Looks like he's going in a bit hot. Oh, plenty of curb. All four wheels off the ground and then it grips. Yeah, Derek Robb has to get out of it as well, unfortunately. Liam Silkstone has put a lap in, but at the moment, the two Ericsson Hitters cars are going to be 14th and 15th on the grid. Ian Fox, have we had a race where everyone's had a drive-through for incident points? Well, to be fair, Oulton Park Island circuit last season, there was, I think, 6 or 7 drivers got a drive-through in the feature race. Michael Blake, by the way, has done a purple Sector 1 the last time that he cut the beam. As Tom Jacobs goes up to 6th place, good improvement from him, puts Blake down to 7th. Don't forget, though, the top 10 gets reversed, so Jacquelet at the moment will actually be on pole when they line up on the grid. But Draycott's going to be getting 3 championship points for pole position. We only have 2 of the independents out there, as you can see by the blue squares on the left-hand side, Calvin Dent and Michael Jones. Calvin starting to walk away a little bit with that championship. He's even fighting for overall honours as well. Blake crosses the line, no improvement in his other sectors. It's only a 106.9 for him. But he's straight onto another hot lap. These cars, the tyres last forever. They really do. Brian Crowles has done a purple Sector 2 on this lap. Brian's on a real mission here. Derek Robb goes up to 11th, just misses out on that top 10 and the eventual pole position. What can Brian do? Crowther improves a 107.1. Where does Crowles go? No improvement by the look of it. Looks like he did that purple sector, then the lap didn't count after that. But still, we've got 16 cars separated by less than a second. Tom Jacobs is only 1,000th of a second faster than Michael Blake, and he's only 17 thousandths faster than Rayfield, who is then 5 thousandths faster than Werrell. That's amazing. Liam Silkstone improves a 106.955. He gets into the 106s and joins that club in 12th place. Andy Fox down to 13th at the moment. He's struggling to find a clean track by the look of it. Is Foxy. Draycott on his way to 3 championship points at the moment with 4 minutes of this session to go. Jake Robertson's going to pick up yet more championship points from qualifying. So far this season, Jake has been the most successful in qualifying. He's picked up 8 points because I think he's had 2 pole positions in a second. So Jake has definitely been the one to beat in quali. Andy Fox then has gone down to 14th as Crowther's gone 12th, a 106.943. It's incredibly close in the midfield. We'll stay on board with Foxy. Michael Ellett goes up to 9th, puts Werrell on eventual pole position, 106.697 from Michael Ellett, outdoes his teammate. There's some great sort of inter-team battle going on at Team Netcode. You can just hear the car bouncing around. Andy just struggling with the understeer a little bit there. Onto the throttle nice and early though, and that's the main thing. You've got to get on the power as quickly as possible in this car. It's all about momentum. They're 165 brake horsepower, I believe, from a 1 point. They're just under 2 litres. I think they're like 1968 cc. They're 2 litre diesel engines. Onto the brakes then. Into Lodge. That looks like he's gone in a bit hot, but to be fair, this car, it does grip so well. It's so flat, planted. It does just grip. We've got not really many people in the pits. Rayfield goes 5th fastest. Andy Fox goes up to 12th with a 106.940. Look how close that is. 2 thousandths of a second faster than Derek Robb, who's then 2 thousandths of a second faster than Crowther. So 4 thousandths of a second separating those 3 drivers. And look above that as well. Ellett 1 thousandth of a second faster than Werrell. 1 thousandth between Jacobs and Blake. This is crazy. Crazy stuff. 4 tenths separate the top 11. That's a really good point by Jack Werrell. He's popped by the stream to say hello. Just watching for Josh Rayfield's attack down there. And look at that by Jack Ellett, 106.677. 20 thousandths of a second faster than Michael Ellett. So now that means that it would be a Team Netcode front row in this sprint race if they stay where they are with just a minute and a half to go. And don't forget, when the session ends, that's it. It doesn't let them finish their current lap. So any drivers that are going to be doing this need to really get on with it in the next 10 seconds and start a lap. Who's nearly finished one? Draycott's in the pits. Calvin Dent is in the pits. So is Jack Ellett. Werrell. Kralls is just coming out, but it's going to be too late, mate. Yeah, it's going to be definitely too late. Unless he can really get a move on here. It's going to be interesting to see whether Kralls can do it. Jack Ellett's going to be too late as well. So Rayfield goes onto his lap. Oh, he's wide though. And yeah, he knows that's the end of his session. We're going to keep an eye on Brian Kralls. Derek Robb has improved. He's 12th. Bridging that gap a little bit between 11th and 13th. Now, is Kralls going to get round in time? This is the main question of qualifying at the moment. Draycott's happy up there at the moment. Looks like he'll at least be getting a championship point for this. He'll get 3 if he stays on pole position. Kralls is pushing. He's got 15 seconds now to get that car across the line and start a lap. Can he do it? 10, 9, 8. He's realised he can't do it. He's realised he's pulled over, unfortunately. Michael Blake has pulled over. Carl Jackalette is on a lap. So too is Niall Crowther, but no. That is it. That is the session over and done with. And we have our grid for the sprint race then. Michael Ellett is on pole from Carl Jackalette. Michael Blake and Tom Jacobs make up row 2. Then it's Calvin Dent and Josh Rayfield with Steve Burke and Dan McCauley on row 4. Dan McCauley getting a point in qualifying on his debut. Jake Robertson in car 22 gets 2 points. Draycott in car 3 gets 3. Werrell lines up 11th with Andy Fox in 12th. Then we have Derek Robb and Niall Crowther with Liam Silkstone and Brian Crowles making it, and Ericsson Hittles row 8. Michael Jones then lines up in 17th position at the back of the pack. So we'll give the overlay a little reload again because it loves me so much. But this is going to be round 9 of the British Boring Car Championship from Oulton Park. One of the greatest circuits, not just in the UK but in the world. You've got to love this place. You really have to love this place indeed. So, thoughts in chat then, everybody? Who do you think can take this one? We've got Team Netcode on the front row. Michael Blake is quick, starting from 3rd. Calvin Dent and Tom Jacobs and Josh Rayfield, Steve Burke, everybody behind them in that top 10 could be a real threat. We're just waiting for Liam Silkstone to take to the grid. He's probably just nipped to the pub. Doesn't look like Liam's going to make it to the grid for some reason. We'll have to see whether he can suddenly appear. He's not going to. Oh, yes, he is. He's just popped up there. So then, from Oulton Park, round 9 of the British Boring Car Championship is away. Sounds like a great start for the front two. The Team Netcode cars get away very, very well. Looks like Michael Blake's left standing. Steve Burke's almost 3 wide with Dent and Rayfield in there. Dan McCauley, sorry, he's got Jake Robertson around the outside of him. Looks nice and tidy through there. Calvin Dent trying to stay ahead of Josh Rayfield. They've got Jacobs chasing Blake. Michael Ellett out front, but he's run deep. So too is Jackalette. Michael Blake's gone through as well. Michael Blake takes the race lead. Michael Ellett can't find his way back on. He's in Worcestershire. Gets back on the circuit, but it's a nightmare for Team Netcode. Both of them going off the circuit. Oh, there's a bit of contact further down. Andy Fox and Liam Silkstone rubbing panels as they go up the hill. Just ahead of that, Jack Werrell and Dan McCauley. Dan's got a slowdown. Dan's having to get out of the way. Looked like Jake Robertson was right with Rayfield. Rayfield's gone round the outside of him. But Michael Blake out front then opens up the gap ahead of the field. Jacobs still blinking like mad behind him. Jackalette's managed to hold on to 3rd for now. But he's got Calvin Dent right on his heels. And then you've got this huge train behind Josh Rayfield with Jake Robertson, Steve Burke in there as well. Michael Ellett's in the thick of it. Matt Draycott's only gained 1 place on that opening lap. He's got Werrell with him. Everybody's running wide out of turn 1. Draycott and Werrell not excluded from that list. Niall Crowther's done the same. Looks like Brian Crowles is in the pits. Not quite sure what's happened to Brian. Let's have a quick look here. Oh, he's been sandwiched a little bit. He's got Crowther in there with Michael Jones next to him. Down into Druids. They've got Dan McCauley just ahead with the slowdown penalty. Oh, it's a tiny touch between Jones and Crowles, and it looks like it's broken something on the front left of the car. It's wobbling around a bit. And that's such a shame for Brian Crowles on his debut. It looked like Draycott was trying to look down the inside of Ellett. We've got Dan McCauley, who really needs to make up some ground from the back of the field as well. He'll be really annoyed with getting that slowdown penalty early on. Look at this though from Draycott, very aggressive on Michael Ellett. And behind him as well, Derek Robb looking at Jack Werrell. He's thinking, right, you're the new boy around here, but I know we raced together in season 1. Let me show you how I've improved. Calvin Dent is watching Carl Jackalette have a go at Tom Jacobs. He's got very sideways round turn 1. Everyone's going to try and take advantage. Jackalette gets ahead. Dent gets ahead. What can Josh Rayfield do? He's side by side with Jacobs now. And Jake Robertson's going to try and get around the outside as well as Rayfield's off, and so's Dent. Oh, and there's contact with Rayfield and Jacobs, I should say. Oh, a massive hit. What happened to Dent? Did he do that all himself? Pretty sure that Dent just lost it all on his own. And then Jacobs just got collected by Rayfield on the left-hand side. Let's have a look. Yeah, Dent's just lost the rear all on his own. Rayfield does it and then smacks Jacobs. The pair of them go spearing off the circuit. And now somehow Jake Robertson's up to 3rd place. He's got Steve Draycott on his heels, but he's going to be over the moon with that. Derek Robb and Liam Silkstone are the highest movers in this race so far. They've gained 6 places each. And now Robb has actually got ahead of Werrell on that previous lap. That's why all of it kicked off in front of him. What happened? Werrell gets out of shape. Oh, on 2 wheels, the car's completely sideways through the air. Looks like one of the Blue Angels. And now Robb's taking his turn to get sideways. Jack's going to sneak through on the inside. Liam Silkstone just behind watching all of this. And look at that. Werrell commitment through Cascades. And Silkstone, too much commitment, chucks it sideways. Disposes of Derek Robb and himself. Can't tell what number it is on the side of the car now. That was a big old smack. Michael Blake's going to be grateful once he watches this stream back, though. He's going to know that all this is kicked off behind him. And he's just driven away, although, to be honest, Jack Colette's keeping him honest, isn't he? Sticking in there. And this is the joy of having a reverse grid race at the start of the evening. Everyone trying to get as many points as they can. Trying to make up as much as they can straight off the bat. Steve Burke then will go on board with him, hanging on to the back of Jake Robertson. You can see just trying to chuck it into turn 1 as hard as you can. And then just carry the rear end with you. But look at Jack Colette. He's come alive since season 1 as Carl Jack Colette. Michael Blake's not going to be happy about that. Michael's out of shape on the way into Foster's. You've got to be so careful if you're following a car that gets out of shape there. Jack Colette's got his nose down the inside. Blake tries to cover it off. Robertson's doing the same with Burke, but look at that. Jack Colette through. Carl Jack Colette, after making the mistake on lap 1 and losing places, they're 2 by 2 for the first 4 positions. Noah's Ark up Clay Hill. Looks like it could be weather for Noah's Ark as well at the moment. Onto the brakes then. Jack Colette down the inside at Druids. Nearly a bit of contact. Robertson holds off Burke for now. Draycott's tagging onto the back of this with Michael Elliott. Don't make it 3 wide, boys. Not into Lodge. Oh, there's contact from Burke. Little contact between Blake and Jack Colette at the front of this as well. Robertson stays ahead. He tries to go into 2nd position. Steve Burke's going to try and find an opening now, but Robertson, if he's wise, he'll box him in. Still got a tiny overlap on Michael Blake. Puts it down the inside. They don't make contact, but Burke, oh, he tries to find the opening again. Doesn't get out of it, just tags the back of Jake Robertson. We're a third of the way through this race already somehow. You've got Draycott and Elliott side by side. Elliott's sideways. Draycott does it on the brakes. Oh, and look at that behind him. That's Brian Crowell's very sideways. Somehow doesn't make contact. Amazing save by Brian. He gets the slowdown of the century. You've got Werrell defending from Dan McCauley a bit further back. Dan's down the inside. Wobbling all over the place. Andy Fox and Calvin Dent are in there as well. Calvin's not had an easy ride in this race, has he? He needs to catch up to Draycott to try and save himself some championship points. Robertson ahead of the pair of them, but he's got a bigger gap. Look at this, though, from Werrell. Absolute train behind him with Josh Rayfield at the back of it. Josh has got quite considerable damage. We've had Michael Jones have an incident further down as well. This awesome train of cars. You've got Dent on the back of McCauley. It's all the red and white machines. They stayed in similar liveries for 2000 as well. Charlie Cox pointed that out in round 1. Look at this, though. Jake Robertson back down the inside of Michael Blake. That's great commitment. Carries the speed well. Oh, and there's a big tap. Left front to right rear. Now you've got to think, what damage will that do? These cars hate wheel banging. Steve Burke sends it into Cascades, maybe a bit too much, a little bit sideways. But he's gained the freebie from that. He's gained 4 places in this race. Never mind, he's gained 3 places in this race. As he hobbles his way through Foster's. And in the background, it looks like Dan McCauley's finally got the better of Jack Werrell. And just behind, Andy Fox is still trying to hold off Calvin Dent. He puts a dent in his rear bumper. And now Rayfield goes through. Just shows you how you cannot let anybody get past for anything here. You can't go and make a move that's over exuberant, otherwise you'll just hemorrhage positions. But Calvin Dent outside the top 10 isn't even on for championship points here. So that last position is very vital between those guys. Werrell looking down the inside of McCauley. I think he's hit him. He does go into the back of him. Jack Cannonball Werrell. Some of the drivers last season said he had the spatial awareness of an amoeba. And he's proving that point once again. But still, it is good to see him back though. committed. He's committed around turn 1, that's for sure. Chucks it in. Still chasing Dan as best he can. I'm wondering whether Dan's got some damage, you know, but you'd think maybe not. Niall Crowther's picked up some sort of drive-through. He's having to come through the pits, unfortunately. And his teammate, oh, he's just cut that corner a lot there as Jack Werrell. Has he got away with that? He has somehow. Brian Crowells, by the way, while he was involved in that before with Draycott, he's a lap down. What's happened to Tom Jacobs? After Jacobs and Jackalette. Oh yeah, Jacobs got speared off earlier, didn't he? Great memory. Carl Jackalette, though, still leads this race. He's got Blake and Burke behind him, as David Addison calls him, that very well-known firm of solicitors. And then Robertson and Draycott in there as well. All of these drivers want to stake their claim for the championship. Draycott leading it at the moment. But Carl Jackalette, he's a man reborn, honestly. I don't know what he's been doing with his spare time in lockdown, but it certainly worked for him. He got his first podium of the season last time out, and that was from, I mean, he admitted it, just holding on from being put at the front from the reverse grid. But still, he lost the lead, regained it again, and now he's holding on to the lead from Michael Blake. Steve Burke's just about holding on to his sanity ahead of Jake Robertson. Jake's looking down the inside into Druids. Nothing doing there. Draycott's just waiting for an opportunity to open up here, because if Jake goes for a move and it doesn't work, then he can potentially capitalise on this. They've all got little bits of damage here and there all over the cars. But still, this top 5 very close together. A bit further down, I think there's been a change between Calvin Dent, Josh Rayfield. That's a very, very mucky car, isn't it? The front of it absolutely ruined. Werrell and Foxy side by side down towards turn 1 for 8th and 9th. Jack down the inside, but he's going to run deep. Foxy's going to go for the cutback. Side by side down the avenue towards Cascades. Nearly making contact. I think there was a bit of a kiss there down towards Cascades. Onto the brakes into Foster's. Dent's now getting involved in this as well. He's going to try and go around the outside of Andy Fox. Not sure what happened to Andy then. He really parked it on the apex. And he's now in 10th place with Josh Rayfield right behind him. He's still close at the front, but it's still Jackalette leading the race. He's got 4 minutes to go now, and he's on his way to take his first ever win in the British Boring Car Championship, and to become only I think the 3rd or 4th driver, the 4th driver to win a race this season, other than Matt Draycott, Calvin Dent and Jake Robertson, who are all 1, 2, 3 in the championship. Down the inside goes Steve Burke then on Michael Blake. He wants 2nd place. He wants championship points to Steve Burke. He needs them because he scored no points last time out at Brands Hatch after 2 incidents, 1 in each race. Onto the brakes into Foster's again, runs a little bit deep. Draycott cuts the curb slightly. He's actually got ahead of Jake Robertson in the background. Let's have a look at how he did this. Oh, it looks like Jake's serving a slowdown actually. Hugs the inside line. Easy pickings for Draycott then. So Burke still on the back of Michael Blake somehow. Trying to avoid contact as best they can. They need to be very careful with the incident points. A bit further back as well, Calvin Dent and Jack Werrell are together. This has meant that Dan McCauley can bolt off into the distance. Werrell down the inside. And Jack is really the thorn in Calvin Dent's side here. As, oh no, Andy Fox has gone in the pits. Carl Jackalette's gone off the circuit turn 1, so too has Michael Blake. Everybody ran wide a little bit there. I'm not sure if all of them got incident points for it. Foxy's going to be kicking himself though. That must have been a drive-through for incident points. That's why these guys try and take it so cautiously not to make contact. Michael Elliott, by the way, holding on in 6th position. He's ahead of Brian Crowells, but that's not for position. Brian is down in 15th place, a lap down. Well, Elliott doing a good job. Dan McCauley is the next car behind him for position. But this is the closest battle on track. We've got 2 minutes to go. And Blake is putting up a valiant effort here to defend. The guys have said it's difficult to overtake around Oulton Park. Some of them have proved us wrong, some of them have proved us right. Steve Burke is the one right in the thick of it now. 2 cars ahead of him, 2 cars behind him. And it could all change very much so. We've got 2 laps to go then. It's just over a minute a lap. And there's a minute and a half, so we should be good for 2 more. We'll go on board with Carl Jacquelet. Out of turn 1. Wondering whether they're using up all of their incident points there. Down towards Cascades. You can see he's a little bit slower through there. He's just being cautious compared to Blake and the other guys behind him. But he has just found this pace out of nowhere, hasn't he? It's been brilliant to watch. Up Clay Hill they go. Niall Crowther's just had an off at Lodge. Struggling to get to terms with it this evening by the look of it. Now a scarier rear view cam is this one on Michael Blake's car. Looking back with Steve Burke in the very angry looking Nodaphone machine. And then Matt Draycott will just be in there as well. You might just see him poke his nose out. There he is with Jake Robertson still very much in tow. But he's going to open up his championship lead here very much so on Calvin Dent. And a little bit more on Jake Robertson. So final lap then for Carl Jacquelet. And Michael Blake has closed in a little bit here. Maybe the pressure's on somewhat. Oh, Blake bouncing around like mad on the exit of Old Hull Corner. Down the hill they go. Cascades one more time. The cars shimmy their way through. You've just got to chuck it in and hope for the best. Blake looks like he's run a bit deep, but Steve catches the curb. Can Draycott capitalise? He does look down the inside into Knickerbrook, but it's not going to work now. You've got to think Robertson's going to get the run on him up the hill. Has he compromised himself there? Down towards Druids. What's Jacquelet got to do here to defend from Blake, if anything? Or is he going to hold on for a fantastic victory? Blake gets a bit of a slow run out of there as well. He's got to be careful of Burke now. Now it's him that's going defensive. Into Lodge Corner they go, side by side. He's not going to do it, but Carl Jacquelet, hands together. Fantastic stuff. What a win. His first win in the British Boring Car Championship, takes it in round 9. Michael Blake is second. Burke gets a podium ahead of Draycott and Robertson. And Michael Ellett, a very deserved 6th place. Brilliant stuff. Dan McCauley started 8th, finished 7th, not too bad. Calvin Dent dropped 3 places in that one. He will not be happy. Jack Werrell gets a top 10 ahead of Josh Rayfield as well, who rounds out your points finishers. With Liam Silkstone crossing the line in 11th. Well, Andy Fox could do better, I think, is what he's going to put on his report card for that one. And here's Niall Crowther, who's going to be the last car to cross the line. But wow, what a performance. What a performance by Carl Jacquelet. His first win in the British Boring Car Championship, and a very deserved one at that. Amazing stuff. So the guys now have a 10-minute warm-up session. And what we're going to do is just have a quick look back at the green flag lap, the first lap from that one, because we need to see the mistake that Carl and his teammate made. Seems to be nobody going out on circuit at the moment by the look of it. We can't look back at it for some reason. It's very annoying. But here we go then. We'll give you the results of that first race. Carl Jacquelet takes the win, just under half a second ahead of Michael Blake. Steve Burke in 3rd. Matt Draycott finishes 4th. Less than a second separating the top 4. That's amazing. Jake Robertson finishes 5th ahead of Michael Ellett. Dan McCauley 7th on his debut with Calvin Dent in 8th. Josh Rayfield 9th and Liam Silkstone in 10th. Andy Fox finishes 11th with Niall Crowther. Jack Werrell dropping down the order there actually, so Silkstone gets some points. Werrell 47 seconds off the top spot, so surely a penalty of some sort there. He's behind his teammate Niall Crowther. Brian Crowell's on his debut, 1 lap down, but it seemed like he had the pace of Michael Ellett there, so I'm interested to see what he can do. Michael Jones, another lap down as well. Derek Robb, unfortunately, 6 laps down after that incident. Tom Jacobs, also that far down as well. But, well, with Carl Jacquelet has he's been hopping around a couple of the rooms to see what's what. But Carl,
hello.
You must be absolutely beaming with that one, mate, because at the end of the day, that was done on merit. You took the lead back and got back out in front. That was amazing.
That was a good battle, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that looked like a lot of
really
fun.
Enjoyed that. It was great fun and great racing from Michael as well. Loads of respect. It's really good.
And, well, I mean, just last week we were saying that you got your first podium in the championship, but now to take a win, is that a bit of a weight off your shoulders at least?
I am so chuffed, you wouldn't believe it. Absolutely chuffed. It's brilliant.
Did you think that you'd get a win going into this season, knowing how difficult it was last season?
No, not. I didn't think I had a chance. The only way I thought I could do it was to make sure I was going to be qualifying in the right place and see what happened. Nearly fell off on the first lap.
Yeah.
Followed my teammate into a slightly late break. I thought it was plenty early enough, but managed to keep it on.
Well,
and,
it was. I was going to say it was certainly a great job, mate. I mean, to be fair, you held them all off as well. There was a big train forming up behind you, but very well done. That was awesome to watch. Any tactics for this second one, because it's a lot longer and a bit more to hold on to now, with obviously less incident points over the time.
Yeah, instant points. That was quite interesting. That I was very careful at the beginning of the race to save up the instant points for turn one.
Yeah,
and was able to use them to keep clear. So yeah, keep it clean, save those instant points as long as you can for when you need them, and look after the tyres as much as possible. I was quite gentle in the first few laps, which I think showed when I made my attack. The tyres were a little bit fresher.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could tell that you were pushing it a little bit further at the end with the incident points, but at the end of the day, mate, it worked for you and you got away with it. So very well done from me, and I'm sure from everybody watching as well. A lot of them are saying, Ian Fox especially, saying that you are the most improved driver by a mile in this series. So well done, mate, and hopefully you get another good one in race 2.
Well, I hope so. Last season was absolutely appalling. This season, it's just chalk and cheese.
It is, mate. Well, again, I mean, with just that one result, you've nearly doubled your entire points tally from last season, and you did almost that as well when we went to Brands Hatch last week. So, incredible stuff, mate.
Yeah, well stoked.
Awesome. Well, very well done, Carl, and we'll speak to you again very soon, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Carl Jackalette there, doing a fine job to get his first win in the British Boring Car Championship. Must be over the moon with that, really over the moon. It's not easy to do it, and the thing is as well, he took the lead back after losing it at the very start. That's the thing. You know, you can easily you can push too hard at the beginning and then continue to push too hard to try and make it back, but he just kept his head, got on with it, and then grabbed that lead back and, did everything he could. Another driver that's actually hopped in for an interview at the moment is the Werrell. And Jack, it was your first race in the Boring Car Championship since Oulton Park last season when we were on the island circuit. How have you found it tonight? Well, it looked like you were in the thick of it.
Yeah, learning experience for sure. Really enjoyed it. Had some great battles, specifically with Dan. Dan knows what he's doing. We've raced so much together, whether it's just in like the 911 Cup cars in a hosted session or in officials. It showed today. We had that, not necessarily respect. I mean, I massively respect Dan, but we almost trusted each other to know what each other were going to do. We went side by side down Cascades, which isn't something you want to do. I struggled to get down there by myself. So side by side with Dan was really fun. I got a message from him just after the race, reminding me where the brake pedal was located. But personally, I thought that was proper touring car racing. Little nudges here and there, only 0x's for me anyway. I hope it was the same for Dan. But really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping I can carry on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, mate. It was certainly a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, a bit longer in this race to try and make up some time. Are there any tactics involved here, or just see where you are when you come into the pits and try and crack on from there?
It's a tricky one, really, because I haven't done any long practice stints, really. And from what I've seen in terms of tyre wear, I know what tyres I'm going to change, and I have a rough idea of when I'm going to pit. But that could all come undone, as we saw today with an incident. you could have your strategy flipped on its head completely after 3 laps. So it's pretty much take it as it comes, and see where it leaves us going into the pit stop window, and then from there it sort of falls in your court. You've got to decide what you do. Do you pit early and then drag the tyres to the end of the race, or do you just do the longer first stint and hope that you can make up the time in the second stint? Which, for me, I think that's what I'm going to do. But like I said, that can all change.
Well, I look forward to seeing how you adapt to it, mate. But good luck in the second one, and we'll speak to you a bit later.
Thank you very much. See you in a bit.
Cheers. Jack Werrell there, my co-commentator at Sim Racers World TV. And your Race 1 winner is out on circuit at the moment, Carl Jackalette. Jake Robertson was just off the circuit. Steve Burke's out there as well. Steve had a great battle in that first race with the drivers around him. Really held onto it well. Keep getting reports of dropped frames here, everybody. I do apologise. Just 30 frames here or there, just half a second little blips. But hopefully that stops. And we can have a nice smooth stream all the way through. Because I do care about that sort of thing. I don't want any drop frames. I hate my internet. It's been Vodafone for a long time. We've changed to TalkTalk recently. So, just quickly looking at the grid for race 2, which will be the finishing order from race 1. Who is your money on? Bearing in mind this is a half-hour race with a pit stop. Burke is definitely a threat. You could see that he was quicker than Blake and Jackalette. Draycott and Robertson the same. Dan McCauley, he's got a lot of time to make room. Derek Robb's going to be gaining places from the back. Oh, actually, I tell you what, I did want to ask him as well. Jack, you dropped down to 13th in the results with 47 seconds off. What was that for a penalty?
Yeah, it was. I was doing all right in terms of 1Xs, feeling really comfortable. Had a coming together with Calvin Dent, which didn't deserve to be a 4X at all. That was just sort of knocking doors. And then I think I might have picked up another elsewhere, or I think I even picked up a loss of control at one point with a bit of a moment on the grass. Okay. And then on the final lap, it was Josh's completely innocent lunge. It didn't deserve to be a 4X in my eyes at all. But yeah, it was just unlucky. I'm not sure whether he outbraked himself or I braked too early, probably the latter. But no, we just came together, gave me a 4X, and I thought instead of taking the drive-through, I'll just take it at the end and just take the result.
That's fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Give some points to some other people, eh? Yeah. Well, thank you for clearing that up, because I was wondering, to be honest, because I didn't see any indication of it. But still, it's part of what happens here in Oulton Park. It's a very difficult circuit. But good luck, mate, and we'll see you later.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers. And there you go. That shows you how quickly it can turn around. Tom Jacobs will not be joining us, unfortunately, for the second race of the night. His internet has just got worse and worse, and is what they call a Q bar on iRacing, which shows you the quality of your internet connection. If it drops out and it goes all the way into the red for a certain amount of time, then you disconnect. And Tom's is dipping in and out of that a lot, so he's chosen not to ruin other people's races, and we do hope that he gets it sorted. And we can see him back on track again. Derek Robbers put it in the wall. Michael Jones, we just saw there, pushing the car in warm-up, but the session is about to finish. And, well, we're going to have our half-hour feature race then with a mandatory pit stop. Don't forget. Whoa, as Michael chucks it in the sky, into the barrier, big wobble. And what a way to round out the session, eh? Beautiful stuff. Listen to that. Gorgeous. The Cheshire countryside. So the grid then. Carl Jackalette on pole from Michael Blake and Steve Burke, with Matt Draycott third. And it's Jake Robertson and Michael Elliott on row 3. Dan McCauley then lines up alongside Calvin Dent, with Josh Rayfield and Liam Silkstone on row 5. Andy Fox then lines up on row 6 with Niall Crowther, ahead of Jack Werrell and Brian Crowles, with Michael Jones in at 15th. We then have Derek Robb in 16th place, and Tom Jacobs will not be taking to the start. So then, how can you decide with this one? It is hard to overtake here. We've seen that already. Jackalette did a great job at defending. Steve Burke did a great job of attacking, and Michael Blake was somehow doing both at the same time and holding in there. Jake Robertson could be a threat for this. He's had no luck in any of the feature races this season, and we all do believe that is the prime reason he is not currently leading this championship, but this man is, Matt Draycott, for Team Red Ring. However, the lights are about to come on, and for the second time tonight, the British Boring Car Championship at Oulton Park is away. Plenty of wheel spin from Jack Alette. Looks like Michael Blake's got a really good launch off the line. Look at Michael Ellett dive into the inside. Robertson felt the need to go defensive. Ellett's got a really good launch. He swapped sides with him. Down the inside he goes. Josh Rayfield was on the outside of Liam Silkstone. Looks like they're all good. Calvin Dent and Dan McCauley side by side down the hill. Big hop of the curb for Dan. Further up, Steve Burke is trying to go around the outside of Draycott. Oh, and Matt Draycott's off. Championship leader off on the grass. He tried to get it slowed down. It sounds like there's a bit of contact further back as well. I think maybe Brian Crowell's involved in that. But at the front, Carl Jackalette now leading from Steve Burke, who's got Jake Robertson right behind him. Michael Ellett side by side with Michael Blake. It's the battle of the Michaels up Clay Hill. Not sure what happened to Michael Blake. I think he might have just succumbed to the contact a bit there. Calvin Dent down the inside. He's gained 3 places in 1 lap. What a first lap he's had. Andy Fox as well. He's gained 3 positions off the start. Steve Burke ran wide. Jake Robertson's now having the better of him. Onto the brakes. Squeezes him to the left a little bit. These cars do move around very much so. They do warble. There's Dan McCauley on the back of Michael Blake. Werrell on the back of his teammate Niall Crowther, with Michael Jones and Liam Silkstone in tow. Sorry, it's Brian Crowell's Liam Silkstone a little bit further up. Draycott now down in 15th position. So it's very much on here. Look at Dan McCauley. He's in a might just fit sandwich. The reigning team's champions. That says to me that he's got to slow down again. Just pushing a little bit too hard here is Dan. He's got a point to prove. He wants to be right up there in the fight for this, but the might just fit cars just getting ahead of him. Sounded like a bit of contact further down. Jack Werrell is off the circuit. Brian Crowells and Michael Jones just shoving him out of the way. Let's have a look what happened here. Was it just a little bit late on the brakes from Michael Blake? Oh, Dan McCauley's dropping down the order big time. Draycott's gone off again. It was a big hit from Michael Jones on Jack Werrell. We're going to stay with... Oh, Matt Draycott and Brian Crowells have both gone off. So what happened here? So Dan McCauley got the slowdown. Brian Crowells, Dan McCauley's going slow in front of everyone. Is Draycott going to get out of it? Draycott goes off. Oh, and he's lost it. Onto the brakes, into Druids. Oh, and he drills Brian Crowells. Have they managed to recover? Draycott's got a damaged car, so too has Crowells. They both continue. But out in the front, Carl Jackalette leading the way. Jake Robertson has got past Steve Burke for 2nd place. On that previous lap, Steve's gone way too hot into there. Jackalette has got his teammate Michael Ellett in 4th. Calvin Dent's gained 5 places. Josh Rayfield is having a battle with Liam Silkstone and Niall Crowther. We've only ever had 2 drivers win both races in one night. That's Dennis Melcher and Matt Draycott, who did it last week. Can Carl Jackalette become that driver again? Look at this, though, between Crowther, Rayfield and Silkstone. Rayfield down the inside. Liam nearly clips the grass. Rayfield gives him room and gets through. But surely that's not the end of it. Silkstone looks back down the inside. Brakes a little bit earlier than Rayfield, though. Through he goes. Michael Jones on the back of this as well, just outside of the top 10 and just outside of the point scoring positions. Dan McCauley can see his teammate Derek Robb ahead of him, but he's not making any inroads yet. And then we've got Crowells and Draycott further down, both of them flooring it over the grass. Now Draycott really on the back foot here with Jake Robertson and Calvin Dent both having a good race so far. And Robertson takes the lead down the inside of Carl Jackalette. What happened to Carl? Possibly a slowdown or something on the way in? Let's have a look. Down Cascades they go. We did say before that Carl was nice and cautious into there, and yeah, Jake just takes opportunity. Takes advantage of that. And now Jackalette has got Steve Burke down the inside. Steve takes to the curb. Ellett's got Dent, Blake and Foxy behind him as well. This is brilliant stuff this season. I am absolutely loving this. Draycott has just got past by, Brian Crowells a bit further down the order. To Lodge they go. Blake all over the curb. Dent gives him the room. And now Foxy's coming in here. In the very first race of the season, the very first race meeting, the 2 might just fit cars, while going for the team's championship again, made big contact, so they don't want to do that again. Blake has to concede to his teammate. Just behind this, you've got Josh Rayfield, Liam Silkstone, and then Werrell and McCauley, who has just got past Derek Robb down the straight. Michael Jones has a bit of a moment. Now Werrell's going to try and get back past him. Through he goes. We're not going to see the same again from Jonesy, are we? Oh, he's very sideways. Very sideways. Dan McCauley also sideways, out of shape. Yes, it's stopped somehow. That's going to be a penalty. Surely a slowdown penalty for Dan McCauley. Both the Team Jane Fonda cars languishing further down the order. But Jake Robertson now in the lead of this race, just ahead of Jackalette and Burke. It's so close though. Everybody at such similar pace. I absolutely love it. Josh Rayfield is 3 seconds off the top 7 cars. And look at this then. McCauley now back ahead. Oh, sorry, still in front of Derek Robb. But Derek all over the back of him. You've got the 2 Dodge MOT cars together a little bit further up the order as well. Werrell and Crowther on the back of Liam Silkstone. See, Jack Lett's only 0.03 of a second off the pace of race leader Jake Robertson. That's incredible stuff. Everybody pushing so hard around turn 1. Be interesting to see who gets drive-throughs for incident points and who doesn't. Look how hard they push them down Cascades. Oh, Werrell pushing a bit too hard there over the curb at Foster's. Draycott is 7 seconds off the back of the 2 Team Jane Fonda machines. Now Andy Fox is trying to get past Michael Elliott. Calvin Dent just passed Michael not too long ago. Now Foxy gets through as well. Now how quickly can Blake get past and how quickly can they go after Steve Burke, who's attacking Carl Jackalette. Into Lodge. Nothing doing there. Don't forget they can't pit until the 10-minute to 25-minute window. But Jake Robertson isn't clearing off here. He's only got a 1.2 second gap at the front. So it's not like he's bolted. This is Elliott now, who's become the meat in the Might Just Fit sandwich. I suppose it's Meat Just Fit. They're just so close together. I love it. Absolutely love it. Liam Silkstone under big pressure from Niall Crowther. Oh, Dan McCauley's gone off again in the background. Michael Jones involved. What happened to Jones? He's got Dan McCauley right behind him. Dan goes down the inside. Oh, Jones just turns in. Jones just turns in on him. It's so close now between Foxy and Elliott. We also saw then how close it was between Werrell, Crowther and Silkstone. Oh, Foxy's gone really deep into Lodge. There's contact behind. Who was that? What happened? I heard contact. So, Jack Werrell and Niall Crowther both passed Liam Silkstone. What happened? Oh, Liam just got a slowdown penalty. And Jack Werrell then passed Niall Crowther going up the hill. Oh, Foxy's gone off. Foxy's gone off. I think this is the contact we heard. Oh no, Foxy went off and then... Oh, the contact was actually Blake hitting Elliott. I didn't think they actually made contact. And then Werrell and Crowther ahead of Silkstone. Right, we'll go back live. We'll try and catch up with what's going on. Look at this. Crowther and Silkstone still side by side with Derek Robb now in the picture as well. Silkstone down the inside into Druids. Oh, it runs wide. Gets a real wobble on. Manages to survive somehow. And just ahead as well, Blake is now all over the back of Michael Elliott. What a great defensive drive he's doing here. I don't know where to look either, Ian. We've got these trios all over the place. They're doing an amazing job. Jackalette's still holding on to second place ahead of Steve Burke, although he was 0.4 of a second slower than Jake Robertson last time round. And Dan McCauley's come in the pits, surely. Now, what I'm wondering is, does he think that that is... No, he's going all the way through. It's a drive-through for incident points, and he's got to do a pit stop as well. Not the cleanest of debuts for Dan McCauley tonight. He'll be kicking himself. He really does. I mean, to be fair, we know he's got the pace to win races, but just very inconsistent so far. This battle continues on, though, and so does this one as well. You just saw it at the top of your shot there. Steve Burke all over the back of Carl Jackalette, but still Carl defending well enough to keep Steve at bay. Calvin Dent closing in all the time as well, though. So it's becoming another trio for that position. And then Blake and Foxy both trying to team up. Now, Steve Burke has gone in the pits. Good timing. So does Foxy. Now, Josh Rayfield, I was just going to say, he is now closing in on this between Blake and Elliott. Derek Robb is close with Liam Silkstone. Very close indeed as they cross the line. We'll bring up the pit stops on the left-hand side for when these guys have stopped. So you can see who is the highest placed driver that's pitted. Michael Jones comes in. Matt Draycott has continued. He's only 5 seconds off the back of this battle. I was just waiting for him to pop up at the top of the shot, but nope. Rob still trying to get past Silkstone. The two dodgy MOT twins right together here. It's Werrell ahead of Crowther. Jack Werrell gained 6 places so far. Biggest mover in the field, as well as Derek Robb, actually. He's also gained 6 spots. Now, Carl Jacquelet has gone straight on the defensive here is Michael Elliott with no Steve Burke in the way. Sorry, Michael Elliott. Calvin Dent. He's on the attack, but Carl's still carrying on. Brilliant. Werrell just giving Niall a bit of a brake test. Giving him a bit of a flash. Calvin Dent thinks, right, I'm not going to lose time stuck behind Carl here. I'm going to go in the pits as well. Looks like both of these guys are going in. Nope, Niall is. Werrell continues. Maybe a bit of contact between Liam Silkstone and Derek Robb, but Derek has got through. Looks like he's squeezing him to the left there onto the brakes into Old Hall Corner. Oh, another bit of contact there. You don't need to make contact there. It's an unnecessary 4X, isn't it? It's just no point. Don't drive into the back of the car in front, Liam. I know what he'd say. I'm just being friendly. So Steve Burke then, the highest placed car that's pitted. He's ahead of Calvin Dent. And they're both ahead of Dan McCauley, who hasn't pitted yet. Josh Rayfield has also pitted. He's come back out. Oh, what's happened to Foxy? Andy Fox has gone around at turn 1. Has he clipped the grass on the way in? No, has he clipped the grass on the way out? Oh, the back end just slowly gets away. I thought we could hear a car sideways. Does he hit the wall? Oh, somehow doesn't hit the wall. Big lock-up as well on the way into Foster's. Jake Robertson, by the way, still leading this race. Still just driving it around. Just doing lap after lap. He's had no luck in the pits, though, so don't count this as a win yet. This is Michael Elliott, still ahead of Michael Blake. These netcode cars, the Team Netcode Laguna-looking things, are brilliant at defending, aren't they? Doing a stunning job, both of them. Oh, Michael Elliott there attacking the curb. Up Clay Hill once again. Now we need to keep our eyes on Carl Jacquelet, because when he pits, we need to keep an eye on where Steve Burke is, as Liam Silkstone and Derek Robb have swapped places again. What did the Fox say? No, 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 no. Love it. Dave Waldock in the chat. Good to see you, mate. It's great to have you on board to watch these. I hope you are enjoying it, mate. As now, Jake Robertson, championship third. Well, I was going to say championship leader. Third place in the championship. First in the race comes in. Jacquelet comes in as well. So too does Michael Blake. Michael Elliott continues for another lap. Now, where is Steve Burke? Here he is with Calvin Dent just behind him. Jack Werrell has gone through. He's not pitted either this time round. Liam Silkstone not pitting either. Same with Derek Robb. Draycott not pitting. Now where is Robertson? He's actually leaving the pits now. Steve Burke on the right-hand side of your shot. Looks like Jake's going to get this done, because there is Steve, there is Calvin. What is the gap going to be? Has Jake got away with it? He has. It's not a very big gap, but it's about what it was before. But they're ahead, very importantly, of Carl Jacquelet by quite some distance. Carl Jacquelet had a 13-second pit stop. He was in the pits for 33 seconds, so was Steve Burke, but look at the pace difference on that outlap versus inlap. Now Josh Rayfield, Jacquelet's teammate from last season, is right behind him. Dan McCauley has not stopped yet. He's done his drive-through for incident points, but he still needs to pit. He's got until 25 minutes into the race to do it, though. So he's fine at the moment. But Brian Crowell's, he's still circulating just behind Matt Draycott. He's not pitted yet either. He had that big shunt earlier. Draycott went on the grass to avoid the incident or the slowing Dan McCauley in front of him, and then it really backfired. It shows you how those decisions can come back to bite you. Werrell in the pits, so too with Derek Robb. The pair of them just taking tyres. Jake Robertson has gone through, so too has Steve Burke, Calvin Dent. I'm interested to see where Michael Ellett comes out in comparison to Andy Fox and Michael Blake, although Foxy had his spin. Now look at that, Blake is right behind Jackalette. That just shows the amount of time that Carl lost in the pits. And on that in-lap and out-lap, because like I said, he was in the pits for 33 seconds in the entire pit lane. Calvin and Steve were 33.2 and 33.3. So it's just that in-lap and out-lap that has cost them so much time. That's Jackalette, that is. But Blake is now chasing these for position. Dan McCauley's in this for position as well, but he still needs to pit. He's got Jackalette all over the back of him. I didn't ever think that, no offence Carl, but I didn't ever think I'd see Carl Jackalette attacking Dan McCauley quite like this and potentially getting it done. He's on the inside, but look at this, Rayfield around the outside of the pair of them. Oh, and Carl just comes across, makes contact with Michael Blake, and Blake's off. Well, we did see Jackalette went off the circuit and came back across to hit Josh Rayfield last week. Josh gets away with it this time. We'll go on board with Michael. He's on the outside line. Jackalette gets on the brakes. Just slots into the left and there's that tiny touch and around it goes. And that's going to help his teammate out as well, because when Michael Ellett does come in the pits, that's a lot of time lost. McCauley in the pit lane now. So he's in for his stop. Steve Burke has got Calvin Dent closing in on him even further as well. So this isn't over for him. Andy Fox is in the back of Derek Robb. Liam Silkstone hasn't pitted yet, so the top four haven't pitted. Dan McCauley, last of the cars running at the moment. He's going to be absolutely kicking himself, to say the least. Now look at this, Dent is really on the back of Steve Burke. Steve just wants championship points. Like I said, he got none at Brands Hatch last week. So he wants to get back on that point scoring wagon. At the moment, he's 5th in the championship, 40 points off the championship leader, or leaders I should say, going into this race meeting. Jake Robertson does a purple sector 1, so he's right on the money at the moment. He's got Crowles and Draycott ahead on track. This will be nice for him because he can see Draycott, who is just there, and Draycott hasn't pitted yet, so Jake will be very pleased. Very pleased indeed. Michael Ellett leading the race for now. He's doing a good job. He's doing 107.9 last time round. Andy Fox did a 107.3. Michael Blake 107.7. So you've got to think once Ellett's done his stop, those guys will probably, well, they would be ahead of him if it was just down to pace, but if I'm honest, the spins and the incidents, that's really hindered them. Josh Rayfield now just getting ahead of Carl Jackalette, or getting away from him a little bit, I should say. Matt Draycott and Brian Crowles both in the pits. Steve Burt, Jake Robertson and Calvin Dent all go through. Great to see Calvin being competitive again. He's finished 2nd, only to Matt Draycott in the last 3 races. It's been Draycott and Dent 1-2 in the last 3 races we've had. Calvin's finished on the podium in all but 1 race this season, I think. 2 races. And in those 2 races, he finished 4th. So Calvin's worst finish this season is 4th place, which just shows why he's up there joint leading the championship. He was the first independent to win a race as well, very fittingly in the Matt Neal coloured car at Donington Park. And look at that, he opens the door down the inside of Steve Burke. Nothing doing this time. And Rayfield cannot get rid of Carl Jackalette. Carl's really pushing to chase him here. It's less than a second between the pair of them. And you know what? Robertson isn't really getting away too much from Steve Burke and Calvin Dent. He's not opening that gap up much. It's only a couple of tenths each lap as Werrell's gone off. He's gone off at Druids. Now Liam Silkstone is still sat in 2nd place. He's not pitted yet though. It was just him and Michael Ellett that haven't pitted. I'm sure you can all remember that now. He's gone a bit hot into Foster's. Calvin all over Steve. All over him. But the thing is with Calvin, he won't push too hard to get through. He'll happily stay there until the end. We've got 10 minutes of the race to go. He'll happily hold on until the cows come home, just knowing that he's going to get points. He'll be third. He'll inherit third when Elliott and Silkstone have done their pit stops. And now Michael Elliott pits. Now it's going to be interesting to see where he comes out, because don't forget, he was fighting with Michael Blake and Andy Fox before. And the two of them have both had little incidents here or there. Derek Robb is on the back of Werrell. Liam Silkstone has also come in the pits. Robertson goes through, so does Burke, and so does Dent. Onto the brakes they go then. Now, where is Michael Elliott? He's already leaving the pit lane. There is Michael Blake on the right-hand side of your screen. So even with that off, Michael Blake has been going a lot quicker than Elliott, and he's going to come out right behind him. He's going to be punching his steering wheel. He's going to be absolutely fuming to see that green car still ahead of him. But that just shows you how much quicker Michael has been while he's still been out on track. Silkstone comes back out in 12th. He's behind Draycott. And this is still close between Burke and Dent, I have to say. Michael Jones has come back in the pits, I'm afraid. You can hear they're just on the limiter. Yeah, that's just drive-through, bad look of it for incident points. You can see Calvin nice and early on the brakes there to make sure he doesn't make contact with the back of Steve's car. If Steve can get 2 podiums in a night, he'll be very pleased indeed. Look at this now. Derek Robb, car 9 P9, Jack Werrell, car 65 P8. There's no alliteration there. Derek gets a nice little cutback, although he actually runs a wider line. Jack hugs the inside. He's defending as best he can. All this time behind them, Andy Fox wants more championship points. He's on for 1 at the moment, and he needs more than that, in all fairness. He had a very promising first season, did Andy. Took a race win and everything at Donington Park for dodgy MOT, and then moved over to take Dave Waldock's car. That might just fit. And now he's watching Derek Robb and Jack Werrell. Oh, go at each other just in front. Great save by Jack there. Look at that by Derek round the outside. Awesome stuff. Beautiful move. Carries the pace. Gets it done. You've got Draycott just hanging back from this. Then Liam Silkstone. Then Niall Crowther. Just outside of the points. Draycott 11th at the moment. He may have had a decent result in the first race, but no points from this second one. While Jake Robertson is on his way to a win. That's real. And don't forget Dent, another podium. That's real championship harming stuff. Yeah, Burke and Dent only 1 2/10 slower than Robertson. Josh Rayfield, a 107.3. Looks like he does the fastest lap out of anyone last time round. He is doing as well. 107. Well, it's rounded it up, 0.40. No, Werrell's in the pits, probably for a drive-through. He's not going to do a stop and go, is he? Oh, Jack, it's not a stop and go, mate. Oh, he's gone. Oh, no. He's having some sort of issue. Is Werrell? Oh, it's showing that he's out. Oh, he's flaked. He's flaked. No, I wonder what's happened there. He's jumped out of the Discord chat as well. How very odd. How very odd. Anyway, this battle for second and third still going on. Michael Jones. Oh, Michael's put it in the wall. What has happened here, mate? Oh, big jump over there. And he's going to... Oh, what's happened there? Something has gone very wrong for Michael Jones here. And he's pulled it over, and that's that. Oh, he's got going again. Not sure if he had some sort of wheel problem. They're all dropping like flies here. Draycott's made it up into the points then at the expense of Werrell. He's going to get 1 championship point here. But keep an eye on Josh Rayfield. He may have Carl Jacquelet still sticking with him. He's still within a second. We know that Josh has got race-winning pace. But Jacquelet is staying with him. Jacquelet was actually faster than him on the previous lap as well, a 107.48. And that's Jake Robertson's pace at the moment, 107.46 for Jake Robertson last time. So Carl is flying, man, really flying. But Rayfield is closing in on Calvin Dent and Steve Burke. The gap is 3 seconds at the moment. And oh my goodness me, Michael Blake has got past Michael Elliott. I've only just noticed. Oh, I bet he's over the moon. He's going to be sicker looking at the back of that Team Netcode car. Let's see how he did it. Carl Jackolet's just had a bit of an off, by the look of it. Not a major one. Nice stuff from Blake. Elliott finally sort of, you could see him there thinking, oh, he's been trying for so long, bless him, I'll just let him go. Now Dent and Burke at this once again. Burke takes a bit of curb, Dent's got a good run, now he's going to be on the inside as they go down towards Druids. Josh Rayfield's going to be rubbing his hands together here thinking, go on boys, have a tap, have an accident. Let's see who can come off best here. Calvin down the inside, Steve gives him plenty of room, nice stuff. Dent goes through, or does he? There's a bit of an overlap, Steve's carried the speed on the exit. They're still side by side towards Lodge. Even Jackolet's going to be eyeing up a podium here. Onto the brakes, Dent moves over a little bit. Like I said, the car does get away from you on the brakes. There's a tiny bit of a tap. They continue on. 3.5 minutes to go. Jake Robertson now opening up that gap with this battle going on here. Dent down the inside into Old Hall. Turns in a little bit late. Using all of the road. Don't make contact, boys. We know how easily these cars bounce off each other. This is great racing, though. Still side by side between Steve Burke and Calvin Dent. Two guys that have both got championship winning pace. Calvin's now down the inside, moves across a bit into Foster's, a little bit naughty, but feisty. Steve will like that. He likes a close race, but look at Rayfield and Jackolet now. They're right there. 3 minutes to go in the British Boring Car Championship at Oulton Park. Steve all over the back of him, gets on the brakes to make sure it doesn't hit the back of Dent's car. Calvin really pushing hard through Druids. Can Steve carry the pace on the exit again? We know that he's good around there. Dent goes over to the right to defend. Steve cuts back to the left. Onto the brakes they go. Steve lets off the brakes slightly. Runs it a bit deep. Now what's Josh going to do? Josh Rayfield suddenly come alive in this battle. This is absolutely awesome racing. Ben Hicks in the chat confirming that. They chuck it into the right then. Carl Jackolet's just going to be watching this and just waiting for opportunity here. And I think that opportunity might arise. Andy Fox is trying to get past Derek Robb, and Matt Draycott has closed up loads on the back of them. Oh, Niall Crowther's just had an off as well, apparently. Plenty of curb there for Steve Burke. Let's have a look at this. These four all together. Liam Silkstone right behind Draycott as well, look. Just at the top of your shot. These are for the last points positions as well. Silkstone just outside of the top 10, so not on to score any points at the moment. But Jake Robertson, he's loving life here. 6.8 seconds clear of this lot. Dent still holding on to second. Josh Rayfield wants another podium for a Team Red Ring. Onto the brakes again, into Lodge Corner. The cars carry so much pace around there. I do love these cars for that. The mechanical grip they have and how stiff they are is just awesome. 2 laps to go then for Jake Robertson. It looks like in round 8 he's going to be on his way to take a win. I think I might have said round 9 earlier, by the way. I apologise. When we started the sprint race, I think I said round 9 of the British Boring Car Championship. I'll have to go back and check and correct myself. Now, oh, Derek Robb's gone a bit deep into Old Hall Corner. Where can Foxy go, though? He's got nowhere to go, and if you go out really wide there, you can get a slowdown penalty. Draycott's going to be waiting for an opportunity as well. So too is Liam Silkstone. Liam's carried some good pace to the latter half of this race. Oh, it sounded like contact between Foxy and Derek Robb. Derek just not really going anywhere on the apex. Up the hill they go again. It's very close between Dent and Burke. Burke on the outside into Lodge. He's late on the brakes. Doesn't work for him though. Josh is going to try and get down the inside. Steve slots back into place. Jake Robertson has started the final lap of the race. Is he finally going to win a feature race in the British Boring Car Championship? Have to see what these lot can do first. Calvin runs deep. Now, to me, Calvin put a lot of lock on there. That looked like he was trying to save his incident points. Steve Burke runs a little bit deep. What can Josh do? Nothing at the moment. I think they're playing it safe for championship points now. Carl Jacquelette's going to have a fantastic race meeting. A win and a 5th place by the look of it. And then further back, we've got this quartet as well. Andy Fox with Matt Draycott behind him and Liam Silkstone, while Derek Robb tries to fend all of them off. It's been a great defensive drive from Derek Robb. He's gained 8 places. He started 16th on the grid after retiring from race 1, so these are hard-earned points. If he holds on to them, that is. Andy Fox has pried the door open now. But round the final corner, and to take round 8 of the championship, claps in chat again, please, as Jake Robertson does exactly what he needs to do to fight for the championship. Awesome drive. Calvin Dent is going to take another podium. Another podium ahead of Steve Burke and Josh Rayfield and Carl Jacquelette. And Derek Robb has gone off the circuit. Andy Fox is off too, and that means that Matt Draycott and Liam Silkstone are side by side. Liam Silkstone takes the opportunity at the last moment. What happened there, boys? Liam Silkstone grabs 8th, Draycott 9th. Oh, boys. So this is how it landed. So Foxy was going to be down the inside into Druids. Oh, Derek runs wide. Oh, there's a tiny tap. More of a tap. Oh, the two of them just hooked together. Oh, it's naughty stuff. Naughty, naughty stuff. So this is how it looked from Foxy. God, it looks so slow on board, doesn't it? Into Druids, onto the brakes. Oh, Derek just slows it down mid-corner. Andy just hoped that they'd unhook from one another, didn't he, there? And it just didn't happen. But Jake Robertson... Excuse me. Jake Robertson, your race winner, everybody, from race 2. And what a great performance that was. He's finally won a feature race this season. Josh Rayfield gets a 4th place. He'll be chuffed with that. Always an excuse to do some donuts, boys. Jake's going to hit the barrier here if he does that again. Yeah, he realises. Love it. But that was an important round in the championship, that one, because Matt Draycott only getting 2 points for 9th place, while Jake Robertson gets 15 for that race win. So we'll have to see what that does to the standings. But here are your race results then from round 8 of the British Boring Car Championship. Jake Robertson wins by 6.6 seconds over Calvin Dent, who gets another podium. That's his 5th podium in a row. Steve Burke, great night for him, to be fair. 2 podiums for him also. Josh Rayfield finishes in 4th. More good points for Team Red Ring in the championship. Carl Jacquelette rounds out a great evening with the top 5. Michael Blake and Michael Ellett, fantastic duo of Michaels throughout that race. Hats off to the pair of them. Liam Silkstone, more points for him. He'll be chuffed with that in 8th. Matt Draycott, he'll be ruining that incident. As Derek Robb actually finishes in 10th. He's actually classified 10th. With Niall Crowther classed 11th. And Andy Fox, he must have had a penalty at the end for incident points. Andy's going to be kicking himself for tonight. Another pointless evening. Not pointless as in not, like, you know, he shouldn't have turned up, but no points for him. Brian Crowell's a bit of a tough debut. Same with Dan McCauley in 14th after that. Jack Werrell leaving very suddenly. Michael Jones 7 laps down. And Tom Jacobs did not take the start. So we'll see who we've got to interview. And, well, he's had a bit of a belter this evening, to be honest. And stark contrast to last week. But Steve Burke joining me in the chat. Steve, that was... You got some really good battles out of tonight, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, that was really good evening's race. Really enjoyed that.
What did you make of the people around you as well? Because, I mean, from what I know, other than in this championship, you've not really got any experience with Calvin before, but there's some really clean, beautiful racing between you pairs, side by side forever.
Yeah, I was quite nervous. I was on 11X, I think. I don't know what Calvin was on, so obviously I didn't want to touch, but I knew that I could trust him to be fair, and I think the same in vice versa. It was really close.
And in terms of your championship fight, obviously it helps a lot more than last week did, and with Matt having a bit of a tough race there, I'm sure I know that Jake and Calvin are the other two in the top 3 in the championship ahead of you, but with Majek not being here, Matt having a tough race, that's surely going to help your opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. Fingers crossed for more points. Bit of a shame that obviously my teammate had car or virtual car trouble. So yeah, only points for one side today.
Yeah, but still, it's good to see you back up there, that mate, because there's been stark contrast, like I said before, in some of your race meetings. But you know, you've shown that you've got the pace and you've got the capability to do it. So yeah, it's certainly been enjoyable. Now we're back to weekly racing in the Boring Car Championship. So next week we head off back to Donington Park, where it all began this season, but at the Grand Prix circuit. What do you make of going there?
Really like the circuit. The Grand Prix circuit adds a bit of an extra worry with the extra chicane and the 2 hairpins, obviously. But Donington's a great circuit, as is Oulton, and these cars suit it really well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Well, before we let you go, Steve, do you want to give a quick shout out to anybody?
Nismo, Draycott, Tom, obviously for his continuing support, and as always, Niall.
Love it, mate. Great to speak to you again, Steve. Well done tonight, and we'll see you next time round.
Cheers, Chaz. Bye.
Cheers. And well, one man that definitely needs a chatting to, not in a bad way, is Jake Robertson. Jake, that was the perfect race 2 for you in terms of getting that championship fight back alive while Matt had a bit of a tough race and Calvin was held up.
Yeah, it was a bit lucky, really. I mean, I got through Matt and I think someone else because of an incident on lap 1, and then managed to get through Calvin because he made a small mistake as well, and then after that I kind of just pulled away.
Well, it seems like, I always say this when drivers pull away like that, it does seem easy from the outside, but what's it like when you're leading a pack like that and you're only just edging away bit by bit?
For the first few laps it was a lot more tense than I think it looks, that's for sure, and then it kind of eases off a little bit, but then when you get onto those left side tyres and your right's still dead, the rear end was really loose the entire time, so it's definitely not as easy as it looks.
Well, you certainly made it look easy, mate, and another win for you, and finally a feature race win, finally some luck in a race 2 in the British Boring Car Championship. I was just saying to Steve, we're going to Donington Park next week then at the Grand Prix circuit. What do you make of going around there?
I like the entire track. The only bit I don't like is the Grand Prix part where it goes down the hill, so it'll be a fun one.
Well, indeed, mate. Well done. Good stuff for your championship. And anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just SDK Gaming and Simputers.
Smashing. Well, great to speak to you, mate. Very well done again, and we will see you at Donington.
Cheers.
And well, we'll grab the pair of the Wenger boys, because race 2 was very different for the pair of them. We'll grab the first of them that finished in 4th. Josh, to be fair, while you didn't get a podium just about in that one, you had a great show going on in front of you the whole time, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I seemed to catch up to Calvin and Steve quite quick towards the end of the race because they was really battling, and I saw they was side by side for quite a bit of it. Yeah, fair to say I'm sweating. I'm really sweating after that one. That was a real workout. Carl was putting me under pressure the whole time and everything, so good driving by him, and it's nice to have a bit of good racing with him, to be honest, after the contact at Brands.
Yeah, I was going to say, that probably restored your faith a bit, but hasn't he gained some pace this season?
Yeah, he definitely has.
It's crazy.
Going from carrying him last season for him to being on my tail literally the whole race is, yeah, he's done well.
And what's your aspirations for this championship now? Because obviously you're getting these consistent points finishes again and again now. You're climbing the ladder a bit. Do you think that as a team, for the pair of you can continue to lead that championship?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we keep getting top 10s and staying in the points, I think we'll be all right, because obviously Louis is not here at the moment, so we've got a massive advantage over Bordeaux. So hopefully if we keep getting consistent point scores, hopefully we can bring back that team championship.
Now, Matt, talk to me about the...
Do we have to?
The incident. Now, we know that these cars are sensitive to contact, but that first lap, that really set the tone for that second race, and from there you were just trying to climb back up, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't really know what happened, really, because I know that I got on the grass, and obviously I having to brake, because I was a bit boxed in, because Steve was to the right, and then Michael Blake was in front of me. But I hit Michael Blake, and it literally just, like, turned me left, which I didn't really understand, but yeah, wasn't great. And then thinking that I was going to get two positions up on the back straight, going towards Druids, and then I go over across the crest, and there's a Dan just doing a slowdown. So I was just like, obviously not his fault. I'm not trying to blame that on him, but I was just a bit. I couldn't go left, so I had to go right, and then unfortunately I took Brian out, which I felt really bad for. But
Brian?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Brian. Yes. Sorry, I thought it was Derek Robb for some reason. But yeah, you know
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't slow it down. I couldn't try and point it in another direction.
Well, you come away from that race with 2 championship points in a race where Jake Robertson gets 15 and Calvin gets 12. How do you think you can bounce back from that at Donington, other than by going for it?
Just gotta send it.
Well,
yeet.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. That was a bit of a one-answered question, wasn't it, really? Great to speak to you, though, both boys. Josh, before we let you go, mate, is there anybody you want to give a quick shout-out to as the first of the Wenger boys tonight?
Yeah, shout out to you for doing the series, mate. My mum, my dad, Gavin, Connor, Darren, all the NLR boys, Matty for helping me out during practice and everything.
Love it. And Matt, anyone you want to shout out to?
Yeah, obviously to Josh, because we're getting there with the old team, and I'm really confident with that. Yourself for putting it all on, and the boys in the chat, because there's been a few incidents, but there's not been any disheartened swearing or anything like that, or
awesome
getting annoyed, so it's good.
All good to hear. Well, great to speak to you, gents. Thanks very much, and we'll see you at Donny.
Cheers.
Cheers. Both the lads there from Team Red Ring, and someone that had so many cars right behind him, he nearly had a red ring tonight. Calvin Dent joins me in the chat. Calvin, I was just saying to Jake before, perfect evening in terms of your championship. Same for you, really. I mean, that was another flawless 1-2 podiums, and great racing with Steve as well.
That wasn't 2 podiums. I finished 8th in race 1.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had a terrible race 1.
Oh, yeah.
I lost it coming into coming through turn 2. Me and Josh went off and went back to 12th and managed to recover to 8th.
I don't know why I was saying your 5th podium in the row then, stuff that, but still, it was, I mean, the battle with Steve, probably the highlight of the race. It was just so clean, so respectful all the way through. Did you enjoy that?
Oh, that was one of the most fun and tense battles I've had in this series. I think, in fact, yeah, that's by far the most intense battle I've had. Going, especially through turn 2, that was, I held my breath for that entire sort of section. That was terrifying. But it was incredible. Like, honestly, that battle with Steve was awesome. We were kind of talking while we're going through it, just kind of trying to give each other room while battling fairly hard. So it was an awesome race. Steve ran a great race in race 2. I mean, after race 1 I was kind of down in the dumps, but to go from P8 to P2 in race 2, I was absolutely on top of the world right now.
Smashing. Well, it's definitely helped your championship, mate. We're going to go through all the points and stuff off broadcast afterwards and do all the pit lane reviews and stuff, but I'll let you go, but not before asking if you want to give anybody a shout out.
Shout out to Steve Burke in that one. That genuinely, that guy has now become my new best friend. That was incredible. That was like Christmas Day, that.
Love it, mate. And of course, you are not a silly goober this evening, other than maybe race 1. And I'm sure that your missus will probably rip you for that, I'm sure. But
no, she's not a silly goober, but you are for that whiff up with her thinking I've got a podium.
Yeah, I'll take that, mate. I'll take that. Well, thank you very much for joining us, mate, and we'll see you next time round.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Cheers. And we don't normally do this many interviews, to be fair, but it's actually the one time, other than when David Addison's here, that everybody's queuing up for an interview. Dan McCauley joins us after making his debut in the championship tonight. A bit of a tough one for you, Dan.
I think baptism by fire describes that one pretty accurately.
Well, considering the car's got flames down the side of it, it's pretty apt. I mean, obviously Michael Jones didn't seem to see you going into Foster's. We know that incidents like that were going to happen over the course of the evening, but other than that, I mean, you seem to be getting stuck in most of the feisty battles, though, so at least, you know, you've seen the rough side of the championship, I think.
Yeah, it was a good laugh. Qualifying was fun. That's about the highlight. It's the car just produces close times between everyone, which is great, because it does mean that people you don't normally race with in other series are right up with you.
Yeah.
So you get to have a race with a lot of different people, which is great fun.
Well,
I mean, most of the racing was pretty good throughout the field.
Well, I was saying even partway through that no disrespect to Carl Jacquelet, but I never thought that I'd see him on your tail quite so aggressively trying to get past in a situation like that. But that, like you say, it just throws up unexpected results no matter what circuit you're on. You know, it's not like in GT3 cars, if you go to Circuit de la Sarthe and there's loads of slipstream, it gives some people an advantage depending on what car they're in. This car doesn't really hand itself to stuff like that, and on a short circuit like this, it is incredibly close, isn't it?
Yeah, and it seems to be very sort of tyre sensitive as well. If you overheat your tyres at the start of the race, they never seem to come back.
Oh, okay.
Especially, and if you have people that come out of the pits on fresh tyres, like what Carl and Josh were, like, you're basically defenceless against them. But it is fun to try and hold them up for a few corners.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this car, obviously the series name is apt as well. It's a boring car when you look at it and hear it, but it does become a bit of a laugh to drive when you chuck the rear end out, doesn't it?
If it didn't wobble about as much, it'd be great. I feel a little bit seasick after, bouncing for 45 minutes tonight, but other than that, yes, it's good fun.
Well, we go to Donington Park next week. We're back to weekly racing in the British Boring Car Championship. What do you make of Donny GP?
Bouncy.
It certainly will be, especially down the craners.
Yeah, that's going to bring a whole new definition to the word roller coaster ride down there.
Love it, mate. Well, before we let you go, Dan, do you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Big shout out to Jane Fonda for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. Big shout out to you for running the series, and that's about it.
Nice one, mate. Smashing. Well, I'll speak to you in a little bit, but thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you then.
Catch you a bit.
Cheers. Right then. Well, again, it very, very quickly brings us to the end of another race evening here in the British Boring Car Championship. Carl Jacquelet takes his first race win in the sprint race tonight, and Jake Robertson puts on a beautiful show in race 2 in car 22 to help his championship charge. My name is Chaz Draycott. This has been the British Boring Car Championship. You can catch us same time next week at Donington Park on the Grand Prix circuit for rounds 9 and 10. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll see you next week.